So, hello everyone. We are very pleased to welcome you on board this Pléiades Neo HD15 webinar. My name is Victor Baudin. I am Pléiades Neo Product Marketing Manager. And today I have the chance to be with Laurent Gabet, so at the head of Research and Development Optical Imagery Department here at Airbus. Hello, Laurent.
Hello, Victor. Hello, everybody.
So let's discover the speakers today. So we will have the chance to have two of our resellers, Ecopia in North America and Geoimage in Australia. So Ecopia represented by Mrs. Brianna Brown, the Director of Content and Product Marketing, and Geoimage represented by Mark Covington, the General Manager for this company, and together with Laurent to speak about Pléiades Neo and HD15. Due to time difference zone between our two resellers, their speech has been recorded and will be broadcasted during this event. Of course, should you have any question, please feel free to ask directly in the chat, and we will be happy to share with them after this webinar your question you may have during this presentation. The agenda today will be divided into 4 parts. We will start with an introduction to the Airbus constellation and Pléiades Neo satellites. Then we will get a deep dive into Pléiades Neo HD15 processing with Laurent Gabet. It will be time to listen then our two resellers to explain how they're using Pléiades Neo HD15 in their use cases, daily work, etc. And at the end, it will be time for a dedicated Q&A session. So let's start with Pléiades Neo and Airbus constellation. So here at Airbus, we have the chance to have a global constellation composed of 10 satellites, fully available to answer every need. We have both optical and SAR satellites ready to answer different type of needs. And altogether, this capacity made available the collection of 10 million square kilometers per day. Very impressive. We have different range of resolution, as you can see here on this slide. So from spot at 1.5 meter resolution with a quite large imagery, radar constellation quite variable from 25 centimeter to 40 meters with different range of swath. Pléiades 50 centimeter, Pléiades Neo at 30 centimeter, and the start today, Pléiades Neo HD15. So as you can see on the right of your screen, you can see an example of HD15. So look at the details of the pools. You can even see people in the water due to the shadow. You can see details on the palm tree leaves, etc. So quite impressive product, but let's wait a little bit. One step back, it was in 2021 when it was the launch of Pléiades Neo. So the two satellites have been launched in April and August and joined the Airbus fleet. They are designed to work for at least 10 years, delivering every day 1 million square kilometers, and it's a total 100% funding of Airbus. So this made us very commercially available to serve a wide range of customers. The satellites are orbiting safely at 600 kilometers above the Earth, delivering every day lots of imagery. This is a constellation of 2 identical satellites designed for trusted intelligence. We have the most accurate geolocation, but also the highest resolution on the market. With reactive tasking and rapid delivery capacity, we are able to acquire every day different type of image, mono, stereo, or tri-stereo. And with a daily revisit anywhere, we can acquire up to 1 million square kilometers per day, as I just said before. We have different range band, spectral bands for this satellite, red, green, blue, but also near infrared, red edge, and deep blue. These 2 satellites have the highest resolution imagery on the market, 13 centimeters as native resolution with imagery of 14 kilometers swath. Look at this image. You can see small details, very accurate is imagery over Sydney Airport. You can see details on the plane, but also details on the parking lots, trucks, and details on the runways. We also have the best geolocation accuracy on the market, below 3.5 meters at CE90 at Nadir. So this made that our image are very located precisely on the ground with a very high confidence in object you can detect in the image. Our constellation has been designed to answer a wide range of needs, vertical needs, from defense one to more environmental one. So, for example, for defense, we have very accurate and continuous and precise image to help them in preparation, confirmation, but also to assess what's happening on the battlefield. For urban and mapping, our data are very precise and up to date. So it helps our customers to update, to map, to plan, or to deploy construction work, etc. With very high accuracy. For oil and gas, we deliver a very high level of confidence data to help them in their exploration phase, for example, to find new sources or to analyze what's happening in the environment or just around. For maritime, our data help them to protect, to anticipate, or to detect with very high precision what's happening in harbor, but also in higher sea. Civil engineering and mobility, quite the same as urban and mapping, to help them to study, to monitor, to simulate the ground, and to build, for example, 3D models for details imagery and also to have a detailed comprehension of the environment. And for agriculture and forestry, our images are very useful for precision activities, such as, for example, precision farming, where you need, for example, a very precise delimitation of the fields. But we also have a wide range of advanced products, but the one today is Pléiades Neo HD15. So here, just a quick overlook of what it looks like. So on the left, you have the Empire State Building in New York, and you can see from 30 centimeter to HD15 what is the visual rendering of this product. So you can see how color are enhanced. You can see how details are sharper. So look at the yellow cab and just at the back of the image, and you can see with very high precision cars and details on the cars, but also on the windows or on the roof of the Empire State Building. On the right, you have Jeddah Hotel, and you can see with very high precision the roof ceiling with concrete. For example, here you can see details and mark on the ceiling, but also water and beach with high precision, and the details of the palm trees just surrounding the hotel. How to order? It's quite easy, in fact, with Pléiades Neo HD15. You can create your AOI directly on one atlas or using a predefined AOI. To check then what is available in the archive imagery. So look at here, for example, a wide range of image accessible, but it's not very common to use HD15 on high range angles. So that's why we created this button HD15 ready to help you to select the most appropriate image to be processed. So below 20 degree as angle and low cloud coverage. For example, we will choose this one. And then, like ordering a classic image, you fulfill the form and request for a quotation to be delivered, accepted, and then you will be delivered directly in your workspace in the hours to come. So this ends up this quick introduction about Pléiades Neo and Pléiades Neo HD15, but now I will let the stage to Laurent Gabet to get a deep dive into this development of this new product here at Airbus.
Okay, thanks, Victor. Hello, everybody. So I'm Laurent Gabet, the head of the R&D team. So I will introduce our work, the Pléiades Neo HD15 AI module. I will go through a presentation in 3 steps. First of all, we will jump in the data, so you will discover what is really Pléiades Neo HD15 at a large scale. And then we will see the limits, what you can expect from it and what you should not. And then finally, I will introduce the technology, so like that you will become comfortable with it. It's quite easy to understand, even if it's quite complex to set up. Okay, let's start by the first part. So we will discover together a mosaic of Pléiades Neo HD15 over Bordeaux. I've picked this example because it's just to introduce the fact that when you are ordering a Pléiades Neo HD15, it's like ordering a Pléiades Neo. In this case, we have 6 images, and you can enter those images, the primary bundle, or those in your own pipelines, and you can run the processing as it was a standard Pléiades Neo image. So very easy to go, very easy to manage. So let's zoom in. The objective of this demonstration is to show the difference between Pléiades Neo and Pléiades Neo HD15. So we can go in any area in this part. So if we go here, by example, so what we are looking currently is the Pléiades Neo mosaic. So you see, and it's quite cool. Pléiades Neo is a very good sensor, but if we apply the Pléiades Neo HD15 processing, that's what we will get. That's what you will get. So I'm going to go back and forth on the image just for you to see what you can get from the imagery. So you see the lines; they are a little bit sharper. You can see the structure in this building also a little bit sharper. We will see later on that no information has been added, which has not been recorded by the original sensor at 30 centimeter, but the looking is far nicer. So if I'm scrolling in the database, so going back and forth to the imagery, so you can see that the benefit here is it's easier, you are more comfortable in looking at the imagery, in interpreting it. That's what really Pléiades Neo images is bringing. You can see the structure. So maybe I should move in another area where there is more interesting things to look at. I don't know, why not here? Okay, that's a parking lot. So in this parking lot, if you look at here, you see the different specific parking for the pregnant ladies, or I don't know, but whatever. So I think you are getting really the information. So now I will switch to switch back to the presentation, and we will look at what are the specificities of Pléiades Neo. Okay, so here I will introduce 3 different images. A Pléiades Neo image that you have just in front of you, and look at the blue circles. So the blue circles are to show where you can expect the benefit. Then I will go to the Pléiades Neo HD15, so go back and forth to the 2 images. So you can see the improvement. It's like you have, the lines are sharper, it's easier to interpret if you look at on the roof. And now look at the red circle. What I will introduce now, it's a Pléiades Neo HD15 compared with an aerial image acquired at 15 centimeter. So what I'm calling the ground truth. And if you look in the red circle, you will see details that are available at a real 15 centimeter image acquired with an aerial sensor, and what you will get in Pléiades Neo HD15. So it is just to give you, so there is small details which are not there, and it's normal because we don't invent any information, and that's our duty and that's our goal. If I go back to the Pléiades Neo, if you look at the small details, you see that the signal, there was no information on those small parts. And so we don't invent anything. We keep it as it is in order to be on the safe side. So no big deal. There is some limits, but it's normal. Our satellite is flying at 600 kilometers away. We are enhancing the quality of the imagery. It's easier to interpret it. You are more comfortable, but we cannot expect, it's not like an aircraft flying at 6,000 meters or 6 kilometers, something like that. Okay, so now it's the time for you to understand the technology, and so it's very easy, in fact, but we went through a specific path. and the specific path is based on a simulation only. So the AI model that we have developed, it's certainly a neuronal network, but we developed it and we constrain it in order to avoid creating wrong information in the 15 centimeter, which would be an issue for us because you would not be able to believe in this image. So we have developed this model with our colleagues from Space System. Those guys have developed the satellite and developed the optic, developed the sensor. So they are the one which know best the satellite. And thanks to this collaboration and thanks to their capacity to simulate the Pléiades Neo image, we have been able to develop a so sharp HD enhancement AI algorithm. So we start from aerial images. So we have aerial images from 5 to 8 centimeters. We take this aerial image and we create we are using them to create the labels. So it's a fully supervised AI approach. So we create the labels. One label will be the Pléiades Neo image. So we use the simulator, the real one, which has been used to create the sensor. But we also, with the same image, we will create what we would like to have, like a satellite at 15 centimeter. So from one data, we create 30 centimeter and 15 centimeter. It's exactly the same data set. There is not at all any difference, except that one is at 30 centimeter resolution, the other is at 15 centimeter resolution. And that's where the trick is, because then we don't give any opportunity to the AI model during the training process to invent something, because he has no way to do that. He has on the 30 centimeter image, you have a line which is a kind of blurry at 30 centimeter, and it's sharper at 15 centimeter. It's exactly the same thing. So that's the beauty of our approach. Okay, so at this stage, I think you have completely understood the approach. So let's look at some images. So here, that's an example of an aerial image at 5 to 8 centimeter. We have our simulation engine. We apply the simulation engine to this image, and we produce the two images that I just described earlier. So the Pléiades Neo on the upper side, and the what we are looking for at 15 centimeter, the enhanced one on the bottom side. Then we create a very large data set, training data set with this methodology worldwide in forests, is different landscape, certainly. And then we put them we train our AI model, the neuronal network, using this supervised label data set. And okay, we run it. And at the end of the day, it will understand when we give him an image like that, he will bring the image like that, which is 30 to 15 centimeter, and the job is done. So that's quite cool. Before moving to some examples, I would like to show you the important point for us is the capacity to simulate properly the Pléiades Neo image from the aerial image. Because that's where the difficulty is, but we are able to do it because our colleagues from Space System, which developed the satellites, they know exactly any specification of this sensor. So on the top, you see a simulated image from an aerial data, and on the bottom, it's a real Pléiades Neo image. And you can see, okay, except that the data are different, but you can see that it's very difficult to see any difference, and that's why our system is working. Okay, so I'm done for the technology. If we can go back to some results, we have developed in fact two AI models, one for the panchromatic and one for the multispectral. So when you are ordering a primary bundle product, the HG will be applied on the panchromatic and will be applied on on the multispectral. So when you get this data, you do the punch sharpening with your own algorithm. It will work as in a standard mode for you. So if you look at the courtyard, the left image, okay, so you see the lines, which is far sharper. You can see the children hanging around in the courtyard. In the middle set of images, okay, it's visible. The name is visible on Peneo, but far easier to read it in the Pléiades Neo HD. And if you look on the right side, on the Saudia airplane, so with Pléiades Neo, okay, a specialist will read Saudia, but okay, a specialist, but for everybody, it will be easier to look at Saudia in the Pléiades Neo HD 15. Okay, I'm done. I have finished my presentation. Just for your knowledge, we have written a scientific article which has been introduced at the ESPRS Congress in 2022. So you can go and grab it and go through it. So you will have all the details of our implementation. So it's time for me.
May just add something. You can order bundle primary, but also ortho pour sharpen directly on one atlas.
Yes, you're right.
So don't need to pour sharpen by your own if you are not used to it.
Yes, you're fully right.
So thank you very much, Laurent. So now it will be time for us to attack the third part of this webinar with the speech of Mrs. Brianna Brown from Ecopia. So she will show you some example with HD15.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Brianna, and I'm a geographer at Ecopia AI. We are a partner organization of Airbus, so we work very closely with HD15 imagery as we use that imagery to extract high-precision vector data for a variety of use case and mapping applications. So I'm excited to be here today and share a little bit more about the importance of high-definition mapping, the role that AI and imagery play in that mapping, as well as a specific HD15 use case that we collaborated on with, that Ecopia and Airbus have collaborated on around facilities management. And then I'll finally wrap things up with a brief overview of how high resolution imagery like HD15 is helping us build a digital twin of the world. So why do we need HD maps? I mean, I think everybody here knows that the world is changing incredibly fast every day, from the natural environment with climate change to also the built environment and how we as humans interact with the world. Things like population, migration, land use change, urban development, even just infrastructure aging and losing quality and safety standards. All of that is changing every single day and contributes to our overall understanding of some of society's most complex challenges, like climate resilience, public safety, public health, equity, sustainability. All of these challenges and initiatives that are really pressing for today's governments and organizations worldwide require high quality mapping data. And that starts with imagery like HD15. But at Ecopia, what we do is we take that imagery as a foundation and then extract vector features to get even more value out of that high resolution imagery. So we produce vector data that is essentially, interactive map layers that organizations can use in their geoprocessing and analytics functions to better understand the world around us and how fast the world is changing. So how do we observe change in the world? It all starts with imagery. There's so many different ways to capture geospatial imagery, whether from satellites, planes with cameras on them, street view cars driving around. People with cell phones or drones can even capture geospatial imagery. And there's, certain specifications and I guess pros and cons to any type of imagery that you're using. But what really sets HD15 apart, especially when we're using it with our clients and in collaboration with Airbus, is that you get all of the benefits of satellite imagery constantly capturing images. When you have airplanes or street view cars, you're reliant on how frequently those cars or planes are running and capturing imagery, whereas satellites are there all the time. But you also have that high resolution with that 15 centimeter resolution that allows us to extract features completely and accurately. So you really are able to hit on all three of those data metrics that I just mentioned. So HD15 has been really great for us as we have been working closely with Airbus and our clients to produce high precision maps of the world. And what this ultimately results in is interactive vector data layers that detail all of the individual features of our physical world. So we can transform the raster data or the images into classified vectors. Here you can see an example of a neighborhood in the Chicago area of the US. and all of the different transportation and land cover features that we are able to extract from high resolution imagery. Again, planimetric level detail, so it's accurately representing what is in the real world, and there's a complete representation. And as long as we're getting constantly updated imagery, we can keep extracting this efficiently to ensure that those maps are up to date. So how do we do it? Well, at Ecopia, we've developed an AI that essentially ingests imagery and then extracts vector features from that imagery with the same level of precision that you would expect from a trained geospatial professional. So we're able to produce these maps at high quality, but also high efficiency. So we're not sacrificing on any accuracy or data metric like that, but we're also keeping data up to date with the real world change that is occurring every single day. This is not always possible with manual digitization. So, with manual digitization, it's pretty accurate because typically there's, highly trained geospatial professionals manually tracing features. But if you think about a large scale project, this is going to take a really long time. You might have multiple people working on this project and they all interpret the image differently. No matter how high resolution the image is, somebody might think, the building starts in one location and ends in another, or people might have been trained differently on how to digitize. Data is not normalized. This can take a really long time, is very expensive when you consider the time and resources that are invested, people's salaries. And then you have to keep data up to date and you have to start the whole process all over again. Traditionally, that's how vector data is extracted from high resolution imagery. There are some automated softwares out there that extract features, but they tend to lack the accuracy and completeness that most organizations require to be confident in their data for decision making. So even though it might be faster and cheaper and you can keep things updated, the accuracy, completeness is not there, and you're going to have to compromise on something. Traditionally, this is what organizations have dealt with, even if they have the best imagery out there. If they're trying to get actionable data in a vector format, they had to choose between one of these two options. But at Ecopia, we've developed an AI that ingests raw imagery and runs it through machine learning algorithms that are developed by trained geomatics experts. Then that data goes through a human-based quality control process. And then we ultimately produce the vector layers that we are confident in as a team of geographers, but has been produced so efficiently because of AI that we can keep maps up to date and run this process multiple times to detect change over time and keep maps up to date with the real world. And every time that we run this process or create a product, our systems get better and better because our vector layers go back into that machine learning algorithm to train our AI. So we're constantly improving. And now we're able to produce a vector map of a, average to large size city in a matter of weeks. So it's very easy to keep our foundational digital twin of land cover, transportation, whatever type of data you're looking for, up to date with real world change without any manual digitization. So people don't have to choose between manual digitization and automated software and the pros and cons that come with each of those. We're able to deliver on everything. We can produce complete, accurate, and up-to-date data very efficiently. We also tend to be 80% cheaper than traditional data extraction services. So really, you're not compromising on anything, whether it's timeline or costs. Keeping data up to date, we can run that as frequently as needed. And data is all normalized because our team has devised an AI that is perfectly aligned each time we extract. So you don't have multiple different definitions of, what is a building, what is a tree, things like that. We define whatever you need for your specific area of interest and the imagery that we're working with. And we guarantee a geometric accuracy of 95% or higher. All right, so what does this look like in action? So recently we worked with Airbus by extracting vector data from HD15 imagery for a facilities management use case. So the end client in this case was actually Airbus Commercial, the arm of Airbus's business that manages planes and airports, things like that. They manage over 300 sites around the world, and typically all of these sites have been, cataloged in some way with geospatial data, but all with varying methodologies, update schedules. So the data was not normalized. And it was very difficult to have uniform planning across this facility management and real estate department. It was really difficult to have uniform planning and decision-making across all of the sites because the different sites were mapped at different, times of year or maybe different years in general. So some maps were really stale, some were more detailed than others. Some didn't include all of the data layers that were needed for whatever analytics was being run. So we ingested Airbus Geospatial's HD15 imagery, and we were able to capture for 72 most critical sites out of all of the sites that Airbus manages, we were able to capture the same uniform data layers across all of these sites, the same vintage, the same timeline, so that there was a uniform data representation for these maps. So now Airbus Commercial uses this for security, logistics planning, sustainability planning, and has even used this data to inform the rollout of a new fleet of vehicles. You can see the map image here of the airport in Toulouse and a legend showing all of the different data layers. But again, because HD15 is so high resolution and can be captured around the world very frequently, we were able to produce uniform maps around the world for all of these very diverse sites, but with the same uniform data specs, so that Airbus Commercial now has a digital source of truth for their 72 most critically important sites. So here's a more zoomed in view where you can see the image and then the data that we ultimately extracted. Again, there's just a very high level of detail, both in the image itself because it's HD15, but then also in the vectors that we were able to produce. So that's just one example of how we are building a digital twin with HD maps. HD15 from Airbus is a core component of this for many of our projects. Ultimately, we are producing not only the vector data, both 2D and 3D, to form the foundation of a digital twin, but we also append attribution, whether that's heights of buildings and bridges and trees, or maybe the width of sidewalks, crosswalks, any change detection, attribution, what's the status of a certain area of road or a building, something like that. We are also appending attribution like that as we are developing a digital twin using high resolution imagery that is then ingested into our AI to extract the vector features themselves. So we work with many different companies, many different organizations around the world. Everything has a geography, so everything can be mapped. So with AI-based mapping, we are able to build a digital twin of the world layer by layer. And we are excited to continue our partnership with Airbus and working with organizations like those that you all work with here on the call. So if you have any needs for extracting vector data at scale and high precision from HD15 or other Airbus imagery, let us know. We're happy to help you with whatever your use case might be. That's it from me. Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you very much. So let's start now to watch our second reseller, so Geoimage. So it will be time to see Mark Covington explaining what he is using, how he is using HD15 in his daily work. Let's watch his intervention.
Hello from Australia. My name is Mark Covington and I am the General Manager of Geoimage. And I'm currently recording this from Brisbane in Queensland, Australia, just around about here. Unfortunately, I can't make it there live due to the time zone differences, but feel excited and privileged to be part of this webinar. So a little bit about Geoimage before I proceed. We celebrated 35 years in the business in August last year, so we've been around for a while. We cater to multiple sectors. Most predominantly of those is the mining and exploration, but even within those sectors, the main use cases are around environmental protection. Outside of that, we do service the environmental sector. We do some monitoring of infrastructure using TerraSAR-X. We're active in agriculture, and we work for the state governments in Australia, particularly whole of state captures using spot 1.5 meters. So some of the services that we provide to our customers, there's a range of them. I won't go into all of them. One of the main ones that we've developed in the last couple of years is monitoring as a service. And this is of particular interest because Pléiades Neo has played a big part in the success of this particular service. The two constellations providing good revisit rates and good coverage, high quality of the data, and the actual precision of the spatial location have proved very successful for us and for our clients. And so we're very happy to be using Pléiades Neo. So this is an example of some change detection that we've implemented for one particular client that's interested in monitoring the ground disturbance. So as you can see there, in this particular area, vegetation that's being cleared in preparation for construction, but there are very strict regulations around what ground can be cleared. And so for this client, who is located about 400 kilometers from the actual site, it's very important to be able to monitor on a very regular basis the actual ground clearance that's occurring. This is another example from another site where the environmental management team are actively trying to monitor the soil condition. What we see here is an area, it looks quite dry. And so it is in, I guess, during the winter period in Queensland, which is quite dry. Seasonally, we see a water trough here. We see some active tracks made by grazing cattle, and so the environmental managers would be using this imagery to monitor the condition of the soil and decide on whether to move that water trough or not in order to try and encourage maybe some regrowth. So we do provide NDVI using the Pléiades Neo data, and that's used very effectively by the client. This example here is in Western Australia, and it's a project again that has been running for many years, probably I think since about 2017. In this case, we're actually identifying two different species of mangroves. I won't attempt to pronounce the Latin names, but you can see them there on the screen. So the red one is this mangrove species, and the yellow one is this one. Of particular interest for this client is the actual mix, so the intermingling of those two different mangrove species, and that is actually denoted by this orange color here, which is not so obvious from the optical, but the spectral signature of that mix does allow us to quantify that. And this table here shows a change in the area computed directly from the classification that we performed on the NEO data. So mangroves are very slow growing in general. The ability to actually identify a single tree and the species of that tree is actually really important and significant for us. So it's a great result using Pléiades Neo. If we look at the HD15, I think this image is a very good image. It tells a story in its own right. We have 10 centimeter aerial photography, and we have the HD15 product, the same urban area. And I think in terms of showing clients, it's really helpful to be able to show a like-for-like comparison in the same area. They've been captured at two different times of the year, so there are a few differences, particularly with placement of cars. But apart from that, it serves as a very good illustration of the comparison between 10 centimeter and the HD 15 centimeter. We could look at specific details, but I think by and large, you can see that there's a lot of similarity. It's actually quite difficult to see where the 10 centimeter is materially different from the HD 15. And of course, the capture is faster typically than an aerial capture. It's cheaper, and I think one of the benefits that we've found too is the fact that the HD15 product is created from an algorithm which can be applied to archival data. Means that some of our clients have actually asked us to go back at archival data, take that, and have that transformed by the Airbus team into HD15. And they've been very happy with those results. So a good outcome there. Okay, so what I would like to do now is actually show a live demonstration of some of our data, particularly a comparison between the 30 centimeter, the 15 centimeter, and maybe even the 50 centimeters as well. So here we have HD15 over a mining camp in Australia, one of our long-term clients. This is a really, really useful imagery for the client. This mining camp, it cannot be captured via a drone because of the regulations in Australia with drone flying. So basically, you cannot fly over a populated area, even if people are inside vehicles. It's just a no-go area. So the alternative would be an aerial survey. In terms of cost, the aerial, when you put into account the flight to actually get to this site from the nearest airstrip, makes it a lot more expensive than satellite. And to be honest, in terms of HD15, whether you actually get a better result from aerial would be debatable. So if we zoom in here, we can see some very nice detail on these water tanks. We can see the pipes being laid there. We can see various vehicles in the yards, utes, large vehicles here. And this imagery is used by in excess of 120 people within this client organization, from civil engineers who are interested in planning out the parking areas for large vehicles to make sure there's plenty of room for them to turn around, through to the planners who are trying to decide, where best to put these accommodation modules. There's environmental managers that are interested in monitoring individual trees. So this is quite a large area. It's in excess of 1,000 square kilometers in total. So it's really important that the trees are monitored. There is one story I was told recently where one tree in particular was seen to be in under stress. They monitored it over several weeks using the HD15, and they decided to send out a field crew from the nearest base, which is about 400 or 500 kilometers from the actual site. They did some additional tests on the ground around that tree, found there was an issue with the water table, and were able to mitigate that. So a very successful outcome using the HD15 imagery. Just to show a comparison between the 15 and the Neo 30 from which it was derived, I've actually got a slider tool here. So HD15 is on the left, the Neo 30 is on the right, and we can actually see, particularly if I go to this area, so I think quite obvious there in terms of some of those features on the tops of the water tanks that are really not that clear in the 30, but the HD15 really does make a difference there. And I think with these vehicles too, you can see a bit of pixelation with the 30. With the 15, it's very clear. So in general, the perception of the HD15 is very good. Everybody likes to see a sharper image, I believe, and it comes down to a perception, and we're happy to support that. Just, I guess, out of interest, it's interesting to see the 50 centimeters, which was considered to be very high resolution not so long ago. So if I put the Pléiades 50 centimeters here now, so again, HD15 on the left, 50 centimeters on the right, and it's like night and day. It really is. It's just, HD15 is really an incredible product. So I think in summary, the HD15 product is filling a very important part of the market for us with our clients. The fact that Airbus have now included the fourth band in that product is also very important for us, because we do have clients that are interested in NDVI maps, which we produce using the HD15. So in summary, we have a range of professionals using this data, from civil engineers, environmental managers, mining engineers, cultural and heritage people too that are interested in looking at sacred sites within Australia. So that's also a very important consideration and a very important use case for this product as well. So it's a fantastic product. We're looking forward to the year ahead. I'm sure the growth of sales will go from strength to strength. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for attending this Pléiades Neo HD15 webinar. On behalf of Pléiades Neo team and also Airbus, we wish you a very pleasant day and evening for some of them. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.